I'm glad we're doing this. I'm in like a really good place right
In life.
now. Mm-hmm.
Are you going? All right. The cameras too? Why do you say that? What's different now than like normal? I guess is now is normal, but
It's peace, bro.
like, yeah, you got to describe what that means. Like, why? Why is it more peaceful now than 6 months ago?
6 months ago, I was at peace. I found peace like a year ago
But peace with what? Like just yourself?
with everything, especially myself.
Yeah. What did you have a hard time finding peace with prior though?
There was one thing, honestly, that changed everything.
In your life?
Yeah.
What?
And this is like kind of like we get right into it.
And I mean, you said it. You had me thinking right away. I was like, I'm curious what he's talking about.
And it's like it's crazy, dude, because like it sounds people have heard it all a million times, you know. It's nothing new, but it took me a long time to realize it, and what made all the difference was Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So prior to that, you just didn't believe?
No, I always believed in God, and I always acknowledged Jesus, and I believed in Jesus. I said I did. You know? But I didn't fully understand.
Like what it meant to believe?
I didn't understand. Well, there were some things that I didn't really agree with
Like what?
with Jesus.
Like what happened? The story of, or
Well, the thing that always held me back from like fully getting into Jesus was the turn the other cheek. Like I never agreed with that.
oh, when someone do you dirty, you gotta like,
Yeah, I never thought like that it was wrong to reciprocate. Do you
to
know what
try
I'm
to be the karma,
saying? To try to what?
to kind of be the karma, like to be what? Because in that case, you're talking about someone's doing something dirty to you, you do something dirty to them back. Because like that's kind of how life.
Well, it was more so just like I'm not like a spiteful person when it comes to like doing people dirty, but I'm just like, if someone, you know, punches me in the face, I'm gonna punch them in the face. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not like, oh, I'm gonna plot and like do you like I that's not in me. But like that kind of kept me from like fully just getting into Christ. But I didn't realize really what that was all about, which is that Jesus was a gangster, dude. Like he was extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Not just with like whether you believe that he performed miracles and, you know, could do all these things, and which I do, but whether you agree with that or not, right? He was a powerful dude for his time period. Like he was a very controversial dude. People were paying attention to what he was saying.
Yeah.
He had this disciples, the 12 followers, but he was a political figure also.
Yeah,
He was
essentially.
saying things that was really shaking people up. And he had a lot of people, you know, populations of people that were paying attention to what he was saying. And if he wanted to, he could have said, overthrow the government, take up arms, go to war for me.
Yeah.
He could have wielded his power easily like that with just a word. Not to mention, he could perform miracles and
Yeah.
rise from the dead and bring people back to life. But he chose not to, because he knew that in order for his message to spread, he had to fulfill his destiny by allowing people to do whatever they wanted to him. And he did that up until the end. So I used to look at like the turn the other cheek as like a weak thing. Like that's like soft.
Yeah.
Or that's like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without realizing that he was probably the biggest gangster that ever lived. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Being able to willfully allow it to happen,
Exactly.
almost to be the example.
Exactly. Because he knew that was the only way that his message would spread.
Yeah.
And also because he didn't have a malicious or violent bone in his body. He just didn't even have he had nothing but unconditional love. He was unconditional love. He was the embodiment of unconditional love. Like what I think, like, people say like how Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father through me. Right? I think a lot of people, get hung up on that, and they say, oh, so are you saying that if I don't believe in Jesus, then I can't go to heaven? What if I was, what about other populations of people that's not their heritage? They were raised Buddhist or Muslim, right, or Hindu or whatever. Are you saying all those people are exempt from going to heaven? And I say, what you got to understand is that Christ spoke in Proverbs, and everything he said had layers of meaning. So when he's talking about I don't think he's just talking about him personally. He's talking about unconditional love, because that's what he was the embodiment of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the whole thing is, obviously we can't be God. We can't be necessarily Jesus in a sense, but we are, I guess, sort of to learn to see what that looks like, to be the kind of best self we could be, no matter what we truly believe in or not. I think that's kind of what his actual embodiment showed, right, the way that he acted and the way that he was showed. Why do you think it's almost feeling like nowadays it's like more of a taboo thing, even though it isn't, and it shouldn't be, to like really speak about this kind of stuff? I feel like it's weird.
It is weird, isn't it?
It's a weird time. It's a very weird time.
It's like people get uncomfortable when you talk about Christ or God. Some people, not everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it is. What do you think's up with that?
I don't know, man. I think the world's kind of losing a little bit. I think it's more people who probably align with the side of, like, kind of how you mentioned you weren't really buying the turn the other cheek thing, and like actually laying down and like submitting, and not in a way that would make anyone weak, but it's just kind of like the world. I guess what I'm trying to say is the world's a weird place now, because it's always like everything just seems like a measuring game. It's like, if someone does this to me, then I should be able to do this to them, or like, and then there's a whole sect of people that speak about religion or religions in sort of like a weaponizing way. Like, we can, because this happened, and I should be able to do like this, or then they'll use it in like a way to sort of just garner attention and not really like embody the whole thing. Like, people sort of pick and choose what they like to, like, I don't know, identify with, as far as like what a religion says you should or shouldn't do, and then they'll like pick things, like forever. Like I grew up Catholic, and I see kind of how people are in the Catholic Church, and how people are treated, and then I grow up and I hear about like the molestation and the type of church. It's like, why were any of these people sort of like disciples of any of this sort of religion when they're just like bad people? I just think religion, for me, when I was growing up, and I'll get back to what I was saying about the world now, I always viewed it like, this can't be what it is. 'Cause like, if these are the people who are telling me this is how to be and this is how to act, and then they're bad people, it always gave me this weird
the hypocrisy.
Yeah, the hypocrisy, and it gave me a really weird, like, my logical mind was like, this doesn't make sense, so I'm going to distance myself from it, because if these people are religious but they're terrible humans, then like, what's happening? Like, where is that line fall? And then nowadays it's like, I don't know if it's like an influencer thing or just like a thing now for people to be combative on the internet about like religions and this and that. And it's like, I feel like at the end of the day, most of these religions all kind of go down to the same core values about like the idea of the golden rule, like treat others as you kind of want to be treated and be good to people. And then people pick parts or pieces that they like to identify with, and then, or they like the hypocrisy that they have in it, where they pick this, but then they're not doing that. And then they're telling someone that you're bad because you're not doing the thing I'm doing, but maybe they're doing the other thing that they're not doing. But then it's like, you see what I'm saying? It's just, it's like a weird, obviously religion is so deep and so rooted in like so many years for people. So it's, I don't know if it's harder for people to see it, but.
Well, it is hard for people to see it because of exactly what you're pointing out, is that there's so much hypocrisy in organized religion.
Yeah.
That, like, the hypocrisy of that people see that's everywhere in organized religion will turn people off from having a relationship with God or with Christ or with whatever, figure that is associated with that religion.
Yeah.
But really that's so unnecessary, because to me, it's just common sense that like all organized religions, at some point they become like a man-made institution.
Yeah.
And wherever there's mankind, there's going to be flaw and hypocrisy. And wherever mankind organizes anything, it is an institution, there's going to be flaw there. There's going to be hypocrisy. Government, religion, companies, conglomerates.
Yeah.
Everything.
Money.
Any type of organization, right? And exactly what you're saying, I think that has turned off so many people because they see these hypocrisies and they see people, twisting the message of like, oh, if you're going to do this, then you go to hell. And it's like, so that's not what Jesus was about at all. If you actually look at what he spoke and the words that came out of his mouth, he didn't say any of that. All he said, there's 2 rules. I only have 2 rules for you. Love God more than anything, rule number 1. And rule number 2, love each other.
Yeah.
That's it.
Why do you think we've gotten, in your opinion, so far away from loving each other? Because that's the core root problem in like human. It's greed, like the want for more, the desire for more, and then it's like because of the desire for more, people become sort of like enemies of your more. So you have to treat people bad or climb on people or use people, or it's like, maybe that person doesn't know enough and I know more, so I can leverage my knowing so that I can get money. It's this whole.
Well, I think like it's human nature.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way, even since the time that Jesus was walking around. I mean, look what they did to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So it's like it's still that way, and it hasn't changed, and because it's human nature. Because the human being is a really interesting creature, because human beings have 1 foot in being an animal and 1 foot in being a divine entity. And they have
consciousness.
They have 1 foot in each door,
Yeah.
We're half animalistic and we're half divine. And that is the human experience, in my opinion. It's having the angel on one shoulder and the devil on one shoulder. And both of them are talking to you, and you're trying to make the sense of what the is going on. Which one am I listening to right now? Getting it all confused. It's like this big just cluster, right? Of 2 polar opposite energies, the light and the dark.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to tell which is which. And that's the human experience.
Yeah.
And that's the human experience. And speaking for me, this is my story, right? Is that, like I said, I always acknowledged God. I always knew God was real. I don't even like to say I believe in God, because you believe in Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? If you could believe, 1 minute you could believe, and the next minute you don't believe. If you say not believe in something, then you're implying that there's still room for doubt. There's no room for doubt in my knowledge of God's existence, right? So I know God is real, right? And I always acknowledge Jesus in my mind.
How do you know God is real? And I'm not asking that question to confuse it with he's not real.
I know, it's a great question.
Because that's the thing I've struggled with.
That's a great question.
I've struggled with that. That's because of humans. I think because of my answer to that, obviously I don't want to cut you up, but my answer to that when I think about it immediately is because I've seen so much like negative and bad in this world and like evil. It's like, God, I mean, if there's such evil, there has to be such good. And that's the only way I can really rationalize it.
Right.
Also, how perfect the world is outside of humans, like even our bodies, in the way it's set up, the way everything is kind of just so interconnected and like perfect. And the way the world works in this like complete synergistic fashion outside of humans. Obviously we come in up and take resources and whatever, but the sustainability in it all and how like everything affects everything else so succinctly and perfectly. That's where I go, there's no way this is just randomly by mistake that just happened and some ball blew up and created all these random atoms and they just created all this. That seems insane to me.
That does seem insane. I mean, to answer your question, how do you know God is real? To me, it's just as simple as this, is that something cannot come from nothing. Something can only come from something. We
Yeah.
all exist. We know that. You know you exist, right?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned right now, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm
At least
aware
you
of it.
think you exist.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
My perception for sure.
Yeah, at
That's
least-
a whole nother
even
conversation.
if we're living in a simulation, right?
Yeah.
We might be, but the simulation is still real to you,
yeah.
right? It's still real to me, right?
But imagine now you go down that simulation road and it's like, imagine we're just plugged into this thing where like,
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't make any difference because even if we are living in a simulation, the simulation is still subjectively real to each one of us,
yeah,
you know? So it's just as simple as that. And then also as simple as that energy cannot be created or destroyed.
yeah, it just continues.
It can only change forms. But that's I think that question is, how do you know God is real? That's a question that every person has to answer for themselves.
Yeah.
And however way they know it is entirely their own. It's entirely unique to them. And you really can't even describe it. It's like, how do you know if you're in love? Can't really
Yeah.
put it in words. You know what I'm saying? You just know it or you don't, you know? But
Love's also an interesting thing where it's
Yeah.
like, it's almost like you know you're in love as soon as you're not in that relationship anymore sometimes too. Like when it's gone.
yeah,
That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother conversation I could talk about for hours.
yeah,
Cause like, it's always like it's like an in hindsight thing. And I guess in our lifetime, like as far as God being like determinably like, this is 100% real, would be like in death.
right. But
You
I
know?
think it's also similar with the analogy you just said of love is like you don't realize what you had until it's gone, right? That's when the love becomes real. Why? Like what's so wonderful and amazing and miraculous about God and God's grace is that like even when we look back in hindsight of our relationship with God, like it's something we lost. Like we went down a wrong path. Like, oh man, I was on such a good path. And then I went off the good path and I went down this wrong path. Right. And I
Yeah.
stepped away from God. But it's so interesting. And this is the miraculousness of God's grace is that if stepping down that wrong path is what leads you to a greater understanding of God or your first realization of God, then were you ever really on the wrong path to begin
Right.
with?
I mean, that's like life in general with learning anything. I think like
that's God's grace to me.
yeah.
Because even when we went down the wrong path, God was still watching over us so much that it was in hindsight it became the right path all along,
Yeah.
you know? Stepping stones. Because I've experienced that many times in my life. I've gone down the wrong path so many times in my life. And every time I went down the wrong path through pain and suffering, it gets to a point where it's so unbearable that the only escape is to turn to God. And then by gaining that higher understanding and a higher, stronger relationship with God, it automatically sets you back on the right path. And that's kind of life. It's kind of like deviations from the right path to the wrong. And then, but each time you deviate and you become back with a fuller understanding, the path elevates.
Yeah. I think the challenging part for people is recognizing that even when they're not on like the perception of the right path, whether they're able to come to God or to understand God just in their life in general, is to like recognize that getting to like a spot in life can eventually turn into something positive. And I think a lot of people get so caught up when that it's like they just keep spiraling down the and whether it's a God thing, a religion thing, or a realization thing, people just perception wise, they get stuck in stuff. And like, you know, cause I'll drive by and I'll see like people who do drugs and this, and like, you know, LA's full of like a lot of those good characters. And, you know, I'm always like, how does someone get there? I'm always like, how did they get to this point? Cause it's not like they were born and then like handed a meth pipe, you know, to go like do drugs. And it's like to be there with their life. I'm always so curious. It's like, is it just some people, I'm assuming, are just quicker to understand and to learn that like movement of, okay, this is bad, but it can be better, instead of like, okay, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and then just allow it. Because there is that sort of free will that we have, whether we're speaking about God or just in life, is like, that's the thing I think people get confused is we've been given that gift of choice, and people don't I don't know if they recognize it, because a lot of times something happens to them and they go, this is my life now. This is what it is. This is where I'm at. And then they keep making choices to stay there instead of go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And they'll make an excuse why it's harder or it's difficult or whatever. And obviously everyone's circumstance is so uniquely different. But at some point it's like, when do people start to make the choice in the positive direction where they actually want to go, instead of like, okay, I don't want to be here, but I'm staying here because like I feel helpless.
Yeah.
So for you, I'm curious, where in your life did you start like seeing the biggest change, where you were like, you went, in this case, I guess, towards God in this conversation?
Well,
What was happening prior?
to address what you just said, I think that it's important to note that like the fight is not over until if you're still alive.
Yeah.
If you're still breathing, you have a chance. And all those people on the side of the road, you know what I mean, going out
Yeah.
of their minds, they still have a chance because they're still alive. I know a lot of people that have died, and then that's unfortunate because they didn't get that chance in this life, at least. You know what I'm saying? But if you're still breathing, there's a chance. And I've driven by those people and looked at them and thought, when I was really up bad on drugs, I've thought to myself, the only difference between me and this person is the circumstances we were born into. Because I don't know what this person's circumstances were. And if mine were different, I might be just like him.
Yeah.
Because my addiction is just as bad as his. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to answer your question about, you said how? Like, how did I?
Yeah, for you personally, I guess in this conversation, like at what point in your life did you feel, to just kind of continue on the conversation about religion in a sense, most drawn to God? And what was happening prior to that? Like, I'm assuming, because I've had so many iterations of like, man, disbelief, belief,
Right.
disbelief, like, uncertainty.
Right.
Like, where was it the biggest change where you were like, no, this is,
Yeah. It was a year ago.
what happened prior?
I'll tell you.
Also, this is how we do introductions, right? By the way, Chet Hanks, everybody. Yeah. Imagine.
By the way, thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, of course. I've been wanting to for a while.
Yeah, this is dope.
We've talked enough. We've talked about other stuff, and
It's
it's
an
good.
honor.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
So like a year ago, I was at like the darkest point of my life. Like, I was at one of the lowest. I was at probably the lowest point of my life. Like I said, about just when you reach a point of like pain and suffering that it's unbearable. And what that looked like for me was having a loaded gun to my head with my finger on the trigger, like talking to myself like, do it, you just do it, because I didn't want to live anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, how the hell am I just gonna stay here when I just want to, like, it's right there. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? But I knew that I couldn't do it because I have a daughter, and I'm not going to abandon my daughter. But I thought to myself, there's one other man in my daughter's life, and that was my baby mom's uncle. My baby mom's brother, my
Yeah.
daughter's uncle.
I got it.
And I would like fall back on thinking like, at least if I go, like, he's there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was, shortly thereafter, that night, he passed away unexpectedly.
The same night?
Not the same night, but shortly thereafter.
Oh.
Like probably like the next couple, like the same week.
Wow.
He passed away. God rest his soul.
You're like, I can't do this now. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to laugh because it's not funny, but it's kind of,
Yeah.
I'd say it's God, if anything.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, he was a really great dude. God rest his soul. His name was Lawrence. I had a great relationship with him. He was a really, really great person. Just a kind soul, And I was obviously really sad that he passed. Sad for my baby mama's family and her and my daughter. But I was really selfishly sad that like my out was no longer on the table. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like now I didn't even have that option. So now I'm like, how the am I gonna do this, you know? And then we had the funeral, and I'm like, this is gonna be so gnarly to go to this funeral, because no one even knows like the state that I'm in. No one knows. And I'm like, this is gonna be gnarly. And I didn't want to go, but I did, of course. And it was an open casket, and the church was filled with people, and I went up to the casket, man. It was in the front of the church when we walked in, and I went up by myself, and I'm looking at him, and I had my moment with him, and I'm like, I talked to him like he was like alive. I was like, yo, check this out, bro. I'm like, the way things are looking, like I'm gonna be the next one in the box. So if you can hear me right now, I need some help. Like, you're on the other side now, like do something, please. And then I went and sat back down. And then they had the whole service, and then at the end of the service, the pastor was like, he did some that was like really like out of the ordinary, you know, like, because usually they just talk about the person, and you know, but the pastor was like calling people out. He was like, it's time to pick a side. He didn't say, but you know, he was like, it's time to pick a side. Are you on the side of Jesus? Are you going to choose Christ, or are you going to choose anything else? Time to pick a side. He's like, you know what? Matter of fact.
How long ago was this?
A year ago.
Okay.
He was like, you know what? Matter of fact, if you feel like you're ready to pick a side right now, then stand up. And this is like hella like embarrassing, because I'm like not like a Jesus freak or a Bible thumper. I never have been. I'm still not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the type of dude who's like singing like, thank you. Like that like all really like cringe to me. You know what I mean? Like, but I just didn't even think about it. I just stood up in front of this crowded church. And it was like embarrassing, but I just didn't care. I just stood up. And like everyone was like silent, like, damn, you know? And I was in the first row, so like the whole church could see me. I'm just like, I was like, this is it. This is the sign. You know what I mean? What I just asked for. So I stood up, and the pastor, like, he was like, repeat after me. And I just repeated this prayer, like just asking Christ to come into my life. And I walked out of that church that day, and everything just felt different. And it's felt different ever since. And the only way I can put it is just I experienced a perfect peace ever since then that has been never ending. It's been consistent. I used to be an emotional wreck. I used to be plagued by anxiety and fear, and just my life was just my internal world of my emotions was just a constant roller coaster, you know, so unpredictable. One minute I could feel on top of the world, the next minute I feel like I want to blow my brains out. Sometimes I'd be feeling really good for like a couple weeks, a month. Next, I'm in a terrible depression for a couple months. Sometimes I'm going up and down like multiple times a day. And that was that's what it had been like my entire life. It could just be, everything could be good. I could just have one negative thought and it would send me to a downward spiral. Just like terrified, just like plagued by fear. Ever since then, I haven't even had one negative, even like split second of an emotion, a negative emotion. I haven't even had like a fleeting moment of like, if any of that. I've just been at perfect peace, man. And I just know that the only thing that brought me that was Jesus Christ. And that's why he was sent here. And that's when he died and was resurrected, that it was an energy transference. His energy that he contained, that he was the embodiment of, dispersed through the entire earth to become accessible to all people. Yeah. And I fully understood that, you know, when people say I'm saved, I always thought it meant like I'm like saved like for the afterlife. Like I'm gonna be good for the afterlife. No. I was saved in this life.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because I wouldn't even be alive right now. He saved my life in this life. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah. You know what I find so interesting? I interviewed Will Smith, and I asked him a question about all this wealth, because he was in another podcast, and a podcaster asked him, was like, hey, you know, Google says you're worth this much money, and there's like 350 million, probably honestly more, because Google is always off. And he didn't even address the money. He kind of went on to say, and I asked him this. I asked him basically in relationship to like the money he had, how does he actually find happiness? Because he's had it all. And he went on to say how like he wishes everyone could have it all, have all the money in the world, and understand that like you could still be completely miserable. And I'm not at all relating this to you personally, but you know, not sort of growing up the way you did, because I don't know how you grew up, but growing up in with like a well-off family. I mean, Tom Hanks is probably one of the all-time greatest actors of all time, which I have a couple of questions for you about that. But how did you get to a point in your life where it was so bad, when you had such a what it would look like from the outside in, right? Such a foundation. Because obviously I don't know what your life looked like. That's why I want to talk to you about it. But having what most people would say this would be an ideal life, then still ending up at that point of like completely miserable, which, like I said in the conversation with Will Smith, it was the same thing, where he was like, he has everything you could ever think you want, could buy anything you could buy anything. He could buy anything, be anywhere, own any house, own any car, own anything, that like do anything that people think they want to do with money, have money, and still feel completely miserable. So to you, like I'm just so curious, like how did you get to that point, being from a place like that? And like how does it, you know?
Yeah. To put it simply, myself. Thinking that I'm the one in control of everything in my life. Therefore, putting all the pressure on myself to control everything. And when things go astray, blaming myself. Putting such a massive amount of pressure on myself.
Was it because
for my entire life?
Is it because
pressure?
Yeah, because I've talked to I don't know you well enough to know. I haven't had these actual conversations with you off camera, which we should do more. But I was talking to Josh about it, because I was wondering, like, I couldn't imagine myself what I would think, like, because my father took his life when I was very young. I never had like a figure that, oh, I can be like this person or act like or exceed or succeed at this certain level. I'm always curious, like, because you hear about Hollywood elites, and then their kids and how their lives get all crazy, and I'm like, there does have to be this sort of sense of your father and wanting to sort of either prove to him or like be great in a way that, like, be honest, like I don't even know if there's going to be actors that even reach that sort of level of success ever again. Mm-hmm. Like, truthfully, like that level of success, I think, is gone, because that sort of Hollywood is also kind of fading and going away, which is a whole nother conversation we could have. Mm-hmm. But like, I've been trying to imagine, because how old are you?
33.
You're like my age, and like growing up and being like, oh, that's my dad. What am I gonna be known for or have or show for? I couldn't imagine that sort of. It sounds like it's weird, because like to most people it's like, oh, that's a dream life. I get all these things, or I potentially could have these things. Again, I don't know what's given to you, what's not given to you. But most people be like, whoa, that should be so easy. It's interesting though how like that also adds this whole layer of like this crazy expectation, especially as a man. Be probably different. I don't know about like if it was a girl. And for me, it's so interesting because like I grew up without a father, and although challenging in its own way, I had this sort of like open field of no sort of direction. I had to figure it out on my own, which was its own challenge.
Right.
But there was never like, there was no bar.
Right.
It was just like, good. Hopefully you could figure it out. Because there was no like, yo, what should I do? It's a good idea. It was just kind of like, good luck. I just find it interesting how like you had such.
And you did.
Yeah, thank you. But to have such a bar.
I'll give you your flowers, bro.
I appreciate it. But to have such a bar and then go like, what am I, like, well, who am I going to be? Because I remember when I was young thinking like my father took his life. What's the point of life? Like, how am I going to end up? Am I going to end up like my dad? Like, no, okay, I want to live my life this way. I want to have something. I want to show something. I want to be something. And like, there's just different. Your bar was like just insane. Is that part of the reason why the pressure was there?
Definitely, because I just felt completely unworthy of ever meeting that bar. I felt completely unworthy to even, exist really in that sphere, because when you're born into that, you kind of, it's like the world kind of expects you to maneuver and navigate through that sphere, but they also resent you because you're in that sphere without earning it.
Yeah.
They expect you to meet those expectations, but they also resent you because you didn't put any work in to be there. And they have an idea that, oh, well, your life must be so amazing, but my life is so you and your amazing life. You just didn't have to work for it,
Had you felt that a lot throughout your life?
Yes. And that all that negativity, man, that people had towards me, I internalized it because as a young kid, I didn't know, man. I didn't have anybody pull me aside and say, hey, man, check this out. These people are jealous of you and they're threatened by you. I didn't have anyone to say that, man. You know what I'm saying? So I just internalized it as they're probably right. I'm worthless. I don't deserve to be here. I'm never gonna come close to meeting this bar. So I internalized it by just feelings of just massive unworthiness. And then that also created a whole different monster because at a certain point I just kind of snapped. They say pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah.
Pressure also busts pipes. And I busted a lot of pipes in my brain. Do you know what I'm saying? Before I came close to making a diamond.
Your dad never was like how involved was he?
Well, here's the thing, man. He was involved, and he was there for me.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he understands what it's like to be in his position. He doesn't understand what it's like to be in my position.
Yeah.
Not only that, he's busy maintaining his position, as he should.
Absolutely.
As every man should.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's nothing against him.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? It was my perspective was entirely unique to me, and you couldn't expect anybody else to understand it because they're in their position. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, it's nothing against anybody else.
Yeah. What was your childhood like growing up, like before you were, I guess, a young adult, like when you were a child? Was it just like tough? Was it like,
it was great, man. My childhood was great.
Yeah.
Like, but the whole, I had an ideal childhood, but the whole time throughout my childhood, there were things bubbling up. A lot of things bubbling up. One of those was as I got older, noticing that what I just mentioned, the unworthiness and the resentment, internalizing that. Another thing that was bubbling up was as I got older, becoming aware that I was growing up in a bubble,
Yeah.
and that not just a bubble of fame, which is entirely its own bubble, but a bubble of just privilege and wealth, which you don't have to be famous to experience, and being aware of this bubble, right? I was aware of the fact that me growing up in this bubble is that I'm not experiencing normal things that a normal kid would experience in the real world. And that became also a massive insecurity because as you get older and become a teenager, if you don't experience certain things, you become afraid of them. Whereas other kids that are your normal age, they've already experienced it. So they know there's nothing to be afraid of. So as I got older, at a certain point, I just decided I'm going to go way out of my way to experience the things that are outside of this bubble. And I broke out of the bubble. And that caused a lot of concern from my family. And I got in a lot of trouble. And there were consequences to all that, shaped me and were difficult to get.
What were
through.
those things? Any examples?
Well, the main one was just getting sent away to and going through the troubled teen industry.
You got sent away. What age?
17.
What does that look like? Sent away? Like they're just like, yo, pack up, here's go over there.
It looked like on May 30th, 2008, I was 17 years old. I was in my junior year of high school, the last week of high school during my exams. I was about to have summer and then go into my senior year of high school. I'm all stoked.
Yeah.
And I wake up in the morning and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and there's two huge dudes standing at the foot of my bed, looking at me, and they go, "You're coming with us."
Wait. I'm sorry I'm laughing at this, but I don't mean it's not laughing. I'm just trying to understand. So why were people there? They like brought people there for you?
Yeah.
Oh, who?
My parents.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against that, man, because
what were you doing that led to that? You were just like doing.
Well, basically, I was just like, once I started branching out and started to like want to, like I said, burst out of that bubble, it was so abrupt because I had been like a really good, like innocent kid my whole life. And then one day I just make that leap, make that step. And it was like, what the, like, where has my child gone?
But what did that step look like to them? What are you doing?
Just like,
I'm trying to think when I was 17. I was doing dumb shit when I was 17 too, though. For sure.
It was just regular teenage, man,
Yeah.
but, smoking weed and getting drunk and doing stupid, it was regular, but it was abrupt enough. It was such an abrupt change that it was concerning. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I really changed like that. As soon as I got a taste, I changed like that.
Is it who's more concerned, your dad or your mom? I'm curious.
My mom.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, mom's always.
Yeah.
Right,
Your dad, I just imagine your dad. I don't know him at all. I've never spoken to him, but that guy seems like he would just be chill.
He is chill.
Yeah, okay.
He is chill. I love my parents and I love my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I love my dad, I love my mom so much. They're great parents. You know what I'm saying? This is all just like water under the bridge, and I don't blame them for sending me to this because they were misled as well, and they were manipulated by these industries and by these programs that are just now starting to like be exposed and come to light 20 years later.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years later.
So it's to like they take you somewhere and then what? Is it like a military thing? Or?
They take you to these programs called wilderness programs, out in like the middle of the most like desolate like parts of America. Mine was in Utah.
Oh,
Southern Utah. It's like so remote, dude. Like, when you're flying into LA and you look out the window and you're like, God damn, there's a lot of empty space.
Ton.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There. Like,
it's right there.
Like in the middle of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they take you, they took me, I tried to run, by the way. I tried to escape. That didn't go well.
At 4 a.m?
No, I tried to run.
Once you were there.
Yeah, once I was there. I didn't try to run from those big fools because I know they were like, they meant business, But when they handed me off to the people that ran the program, who looked like some hippie, I was like, oh, I'm definitely running from these fools. But there was nowhere to run, and there was a police station right on the corner. So right as I'm sprinting for my life by the police station, whoop, whoop, a squad car pulls up, and they were like, whoa, 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 and they grabbed me. But I just collapsed on the ground because I was like full on sprinting for like a mile. Like, have you ever like ran for your life? Like literally
From a dog when I was a kid. Yeah.
Like ran for your life and your freedom. Like if for like like for like 10 seconds, if you can just run and then hide and okay, boom, boom, they go by. Okay, I'm cool. Then it's like easy. But if there's nowhere to run and you have to sprint like for like a full mile, like
Dude, I ran from a dog.
it is, I thought I was going to die. Like, cause I couldn't breathe. Like I was like, just cause I was so gassed, like, just smoked, So I like collapsed on the ground. And then a couple, like, however long later, they caught up with me and they're like all huffing and puffing, like, you're pretty fast, And they put me in the zip tie. And then I just was like, okay, I give up, So they processed me, gave me all my gear. Like, it's full body search, squat and cough, get you all your gear. Like you're in an orange, like you're in like an orange jumpsuit pretty much. And then they blindfolded me, put me in the back of a truck in the cab with 2 staff on each side of me like this. And they drove me like 2 to 3 hours, like into the middle of nowhere.
To a different spot?
To just the middle of the desert. Like
what the
to the middle of the desert. And then you're just sitting in the back of the trunk, like going over these bumpy roads. Like you just do it for like hours, And then they get out and they're like, okay, take your blindfold off. And they're like, okay, you're about to like join the group or whatever. Don't talk to anybody. If you try talking to anybody, they're not going to talk to you anyway. So they lead you in there and there's a bunch of other kids there and there's a couple of staff there and the kids are all filthy and like they look like bums, like covered in dirt. You're like, oh my God. Then they sit you by a tree and they're like, okay, just sit here and don't talk to anybody. And they sit you there you're sitting there for like 5-6 days, all day, all night, just sitting there in silence.
What's the point of that though?
It's because you have to earn your privilege to join the group. You have to earn the privilege to be able to talk to the other people.
That I wonder if that actually helped anyone. I'm actually genuinely curious. Did that help you?
It helped me, but not in the way that it was intended to. Not in the way that they thought it was supposed to, or like the way that they sold it. Like the way they sold it to your parents, like this is going to help your kid. It didn't help me in that way. It helped me in a completely way that was entirely my own, because that was through that experience is how I like came to know God, came to know that God is real.
When you were younger.
No, that experience, because before that I was like an atheist or like an agnostic, or I didn't have any knowledge or understanding of God. I thought maybe there is no God, but that experience that changed that's when I came to know the reality of God's existence.
And then what got you away from it? Because obviously now, more recently, it's this last year, you kind of came closer again. But what got you away from it when you were 17 or around that age?
I never got away from it. I acknowledged I had a relationship with God, but I didn't have a relationship with Christ.
Okay.
I never got away from it. I mean, it might look like I got away from it, but even in like my darkest moments, and even like in like the depths of my addiction, like I always had a relationship with God. That was kind of my flaw, because I like used drugs. Like even by using drugs, I used drugs to feel more close to God. But really, you're not getting closer to God. Yeah. You might feel spiritual, but that's not but God isn't the one you're getting close to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what kind of drugs? Like marijuana? Nothing crazy.
Man. Before I got sent away?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like drinking, just getting really fucking hammered, like blackout drunk. And
what after? You did different drugs after?
Yeah, bro. When I got out of that, I was making up for lost time, because I was away for like over a year and a half. I never went back to my high school, never saw my friends again. They all graduated without me. I went through that, and I was at the first part is the wilderness program. Then when you're there at about a month in, you get a letter and they're like, you're not coming home after this. You're going to another place after this. And you're like, you know what I mean? Like my life is over pretty much. Like I'm stuck here, And then after that, I went to like the secondary program, which was like a school. It was like a boarding school, but you can't leave. You can't you're under supervision the whole time. You have no freedom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you just go to school and then like go to your dorm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I was there. So all in all, I was gone for like over a year. And when I got out of that, I was like, man, I'm gonna hit the ground running, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, it didn't make me want to be a good boy. It made me want to, you know, like get my lick back, you know?
What other drugs did you do?
My worst drug, the drug I had the most problem with was just coke, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a coke head. Straight up. Straight up.
Not now.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But that's my drug of choice. Cocaine, bro. Like Tony Montana, dude. I'm the type of dude, right? Like, you know, like you go out to the clubs and there's like people you know that like are like known cokeheads. They're like big cokeheads, and you might do a bump with them in the bathroom one time, and you're like, oh, I know this dude's a cokehead, but like I want a little bump. Like, okay, fine. You know what I mean?
I know one.
You
guy
like, you know,
that,
like you know what I mean?
I've only done coke once.
I would go do like coke with the cokeheads, and they would be telling me like, yo, chill, bro. Like we just. Like wait a second, you know what I mean? Like, just like give it like 15 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, it was just, yeah, man. I couldn't get enough of that.
I'm glad you stopped. That's like the worst.
It's
thing,
so
dude.
bad.
It's so like
it's so bad.
It's really hard on your body and your heart and everything, man.
Your soul, bro. It's terrible. It eats away. It just like you just wither away because you can't eat, you can't sleep. It's terrible.
So this is a little bit of a joke here, but when were the Illuminati meetings?
Dude.
Why is that such a thing? Why is it such a perception of Hollywood?
Well, there's a lot of sick going on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's like a common knowledge now. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? Is that if any of these people like actually met my family,
yeah, and
could see who they are and feel their goodness, then they wouldn't continue to indulge themselves in these theories and all these rabbit holes that they get in on the internet. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some sick going on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But see, if they knew my parents, they would know that like my parents like have avoided like anything that's like Hollywood, like for like their entire like career and my entire life. Like they had purposely raised me to be like as normal as possible. And they don't even like doing that. They don't like just like even like going to like, I'm not talking about like any wild parties because my parents wouldn't even know about any of those. Yeah. But like it's just like going to like red carpet events or like whatever. They don't like doing that. Yeah. They're like, oh, I gotta do this because it's work. You know what I'm saying? I have to do it. But apart from that, they'd like to just, they're family people, dude. Yeah. They like to chill at home and go to and be with their family and travel and that's it. I was raised like that. They're the most normal people in Hollywood. Yeah. But here's the thing is that what people don't understand is that if you're like an extremely famous like celebrity, it's normal for those people to like meet the president. Yeah. The team that wins the Super Bowl goes and meets the president. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a normal thing. But in today's day and age, with just so much corruption being exposed in politics, in entertainment, in everything, people look at people on the highest levels, the people that are standing next to a president in the picture, and they think it's all this big, like sick cabal. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course. And I don't know whether there is or isn't like, for me personally, I think that corporations run the world, and it's something called the military industrial complex, which is a real thing, right? But it's like not everybody involved in entertainment and not everybody involved in any field, politics, big business, is like some sick, evil. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. There are sick, evil in all the high echelons of anything. And there's sick, evil in all echelons of anything. Yeah, sure. Exactly. Yeah. In the regular echelons too. Yeah. But it's it's like people will, I think oftentimes like the truth is kind of boring, and it's more interesting for people to go down these wild rabbit holes and these wild theories because it's more interesting to think about than just like day-to-day life.
Yeah, like it's just a normal dude who just he
Yeah.
just happened to, do what it took to be like whatever X crazy celebrity.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Obviously, I know that it would be insane to think that every single person at that level is just like involved in some crazy. It's just a weird time.
It's a very weird time.
The internet has really
It's a very weird time.
changed.
Yeah.
I wonder if like, I don't know. Do you think it's gonna get worse or better?
I don't know. And it doesn't matter because the kingdom is not of this world.
Yeah.
This world is not supposed to be the answer. It never was. Because you're not going to find the answer in this world. You're not going to find the answer for what you're seeking in what you can see with your own eyes. You're going to see it. You're going to find it in what you can't see.
Yeah.
So whichever way this world goes, and it looks like it's going really,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
So, bro.
But it doesn't matter because, I mean, that's not, I don't mean to say that as in like a cop out, as in like people shouldn't like fight the good fight, because I think we should.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Otherwise, it's nihilistic and it's like nothing matters.
Exactly.
It's not good.
I don't mean it like that.
Yeah.
I just mean like look within yourself and look.
Well,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yes. Well, that is the greatest problem that we have, is that I think because of the internet and like the fast pacedness of social media and like everyone else's life or what everyone else has, or the Twitter warlords of who's right and who's wrong, like we've lost that actual, obviously to some degree, what other people are doing. There is like this existential up that is affecting everyone, but like individually, we are the only people that can like quote unquote change the world. Like, but we have to start right here within ourselves. No one seems to want to do that. And it's always that guy believes this, I believe this, that guy's wrong, he's an enemy. Let's have a problem. And it's like, whether or not you believe something completely different to me or not, there's still conversation and discourse that can happen to like understand each other. And that's what seems to be completely out the window.
Agreed.
And it's just like, that person has this, I should have that. Why does he have that? Why don't I have that? I'm younger, he has more than me, he's younger than me, or whatever it is, or I'm older, I should have more, or that person. It's just the weirdest time where it's like, I don't know, people just got so far away from like, okay, what am I doing? Because like at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the person who wants more out of their life for whatever, it starts here, being like, okay, what can I do to get more? Like, what can I do to have more success or to have more love? Or it's like, okay, I gotta believe it here. I gotta have more love here. I gotta start here so I could start going towards whatever it is out externally that I want. And that is just, I don't know if it's by design or like it's encouraged, but this like warfare of humans against other humans based on like religion, political, like socioeconomics. It's just like it seems like we're being pushed further and further and further just to hate each other and to be at war and to be like, they're wrong, I'm right, he's right, she's wrong, whatever it is. And it's just crazy. No one, like, we're losing the art of like, okay, where am I at? What am I doing that's adding to this? And then you got people on the internet who like virtue signal other people when like about what they're doing or what they should be doing when they're over here. There's some sort of monetization behind it. And then it's like, I'll say whatever I can to get attention and like talk about this person or say this crazy, I don't know, racist word or whatever, just get attention. Then other people will be like, oh, it's okay to do that, so I'm going to do that. And it's just like this cycle of like, Is this all just for some self-enrichment? And people lost the actual thing that really matters. And again, when I talked, I had that conversation with Will, and, hearing what someone like that who has everything says is like, what does it all mean?
Yeah.
Like, are we all fighting just for more money or for more status or for more fame? And it's like, at the end of the day, like, you die and it's all gone.
And what even is more?
Exactly.
Because you could be fighting for more money and more success, and then find that, and then get it, and find that you still want to blow your brains out. Do you know what I'm saying? So what is success? And but I think, like, picking up on what you're saying, I think, like, the absolute worst thing about today's society that's holding us back the most and causing all these things that you're talking about is the inability to freely express an opinion.
Because
The inability for people with the inability to freely express an opinion without being vilified. An opinion that goes against the opinion that is being pushed. And the institutional and bureaucratic assistance and the machine that is created now, that is so powerful in our lives, from the internet and social media and big tech companies, that, like, it's cleared, and the media, where it's like, it's so obvious now.
it's so obvious.
That it's like, this is like a part of the institution that is, it's a machine that is vilifying anybody just for stating an opinion that doesn't go along with an agenda, the agenda, or the side of the agenda that is being pushed. Because if you can't have free speech, which is what this country is based off on, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Free speech doesn't exist anymore.
It's crazy. And one of the dude,
because here's the thing. Our generation, it's like, it used to be, we all know, it used to be like, go get a job, go get a degree, work a 9 to 5. This generation is like, why would I do that when I can make money from the internet and build a business?
yeah.
Duh. Why the would you want to go do that? Not knocking it, but I'm saying there's so much if that's what you do, that's what you do. Respect. You know what I'm saying? Respect. Because that's not everybody's bag, and I respect that. I respect people that work hard and take care of their business and take care of their. But for most people in this generation, I think they would rather, you utilize the internet to be able to make a living. And nowadays, every single person who's utilizing the internet to make a living has to take account of, has to self-censor so many opinions, to even not even to say something like crazy, or like, but say something that's even like just slightly like breaching the boundary of, like, oh, this is going against the opinion.
Well, bro, one of the craziest
Because
things,
it affects them. Because it affects their ability to eat and make money and provide for themselves. So everybody is succumbing to, not really speak freely,
yeah.
so they can continue to make a living. And I think that is the worst thing about what's going on today.
Yeah. Well, dude, I even think of that example, this whole like Fauci and the mask thing and the 6 feet thing. I was reading earlier, it was like the dude just made this up. And at one point, you couldn't say anything against that on the internet. Because I was a content creator throughout the whole entire period, dealt with the whole, like, I've talked about this before, but him closing the gym down and going to court like 9 times for it. And every time I would show up and be like, I'm not shutting my gym down. Like, what do you guys want from me? Oh, you're supposed to. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it. Show me why I need to do it. Show me science. Show me anything based in like actual data, why my gym being shut makes sense and is going to save people, versus all these other companies that you have open, wide open, no matter what, because they're big corporations like Costco and shit down the street. And it's like, to hear all that and then to see years later, they're all like, oh yeah, actually this stuff was kind of bull. And now there's actually problems related to this stuff. And then now you can kind of talk about it. Now we're not going to censor you as much. It's like, but wait, when it was at its peak, I was like, if I said anything, even the word, the COVID word, shadow banned, gone, demonetized, like next video getting way less views, next video getting way less views. And it was like, I lived through that, actually making content through that and being like, this is insane. If I'm not now on the flip side, also, if I said, cause I would notice other content creators that would say the sort of narrative, views, engagement is like, they're almost, let's make this, we should algorithm. Like, it's like, what the, and it's just like, because at the time I just didn't believe, I wasn't like, yo, I'm so sold on this, because it all didn't make sense in which they were like implicating these sort of the lockdown here versus it's okay there. And it's okay if it's this, and none of it made sense. So and then the rules didn't make sense. They're arbitrary. And then years later, it's like
zero accountability.
Yeah. And then years later, it's like, yeah, we were all kind of wrong about that. But that's what we knew then. It's like, no, but because I even interviewed Don Lemon and he said that in the podcast when I did on Full Send, I was like, you got on the TV and was saying how like you should be villainized and you should be ashamed of yourself if you don't have the vaccine and you're hurting other Americans. And now it's getting out where it's like, that wasn't exactly the case. And his answer, his response to what I was saying was like, well, that is what we knew at the time. And I was like, that's not true. Other people just weren't able to say what they also knew. Yeah. There was also data and information proving the opposite in relationship to the whole thing. And it's just like, you just weren't looking at it and weren't allowed to talk about it and weren't allowed to say it on whether it's on that news station or that news station or YouTube or wherever else it was being censored. And it's just like, that can't be your excuse. It's because it's slippery. Because I even said it way back then. I was like, imagine the shoe's now on the other foot. And the same thing's happening in the other direction with something that you believe strongly in or you feel strongly in. And you're on that other side of like the censorship where you're like, wait, what I'm saying is not illogical. It's not irrational. It's not wrong. It's not based in science. But I just can't say it. But I believe it. I know this is true. And like it's proven. But no. It's wrong though. And if you say it, you'll be penalized for it.
Punish
100%. Everything that I just said is a fact. And it's just like, what? Like, how can someone not see the problem in that? Just because at the time, whoever side it was on and leaning towards, it's like, oh, it's yeah, of course this is what we're doing. It's like, well, what about when it all flips? What about when it's something else that like it's flipped on you now? The problem itself is in that the fact that we can't have discourse and say, whatever platform, I don't give what it's on. You should be able to say, hey, this is how I feel, and this is what I believe, and this is the data that I know. What's going on here? Not just because we don't want that to be out because I got to make a ton of money from these Pfizer, whatever it is. It's like that is the problem, and that's just like now translated into like a bunch more news. Whether it's this war or that war or this thing, it's like we're all just arguing, and it's like no, but as long as it makes sense for like where all the money's made, then we'll just keep saying it's okay there. It's like, dude, that's scary. Yeah. That's a very scary thing because what you're saying becomes true where it's like, what about the free speech and the communication of it all? And then it's like, now you're just halting like the growth of humans because it's all about money. And it's like at the end of the day, dude, like love is the only thing that matters. Like being able to have that with people and share that with people and those moments that you could have with people that like you have love with or love for and you want to share and grow and have moments together. Like, even the people at the highest level have everything in the world say the same thing. It's like, that's all that matters truly. So it's like, how much is enough? And like, when will people just get to a point where it's like, yeah, like make money and get business and sell and have a good time. But like, how are we getting to the point where it's like, no, it needs to be this way because I need it all. It's like, dude, what the is happening? I don't understand it.
Neither do I. And it's un-American.
It is.
To say, to create a society where you have to live in fear of sharing your opinion out of worrying about being punished.
Bro, it's the opposite of what America was built on.
Where you cannot make a living. It's like good luck making your living now because you stepped out of bounds by stating an opinion that's not offensive, that's not hurtful.
Yeah.
That's not American.
Well, like I said,
what is that?
It's literally, it's opposite of what America was built on.
Exactly. It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
So it's like, man, what do people do if you're watching this and it's like, how do you move forward in your opinion? I think obviously it's just like, you have to go, okay, where am I at? What am I doing? What am I willing to like put my neck out for, and like still find and create circumstances in which you can be happy and share love and with people in your life. And like, that's kind of all we can focus on. Cause it's like, can we change the sort of story or narrative? I guess if we all did that, then yes, you know, but so many people, I think it's easier for people to just go, well, this is what everyone else is doing. Cause I remember that time too. So specifically, I was like, people, even without conviction in it, were just like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
So I'm just gonna do it. And,
well, this is what I'm supposed to think.
Exactly.
So I'm not even going to ask myself, what do I really think about this?
Exactly.
I'm just going to just buy into whatever they're telling me to think. And that's the worst part, because I say that the first thing you have to do is self-reflect, because there's so many people out there that don't even take this step to ask themselves, what do I actually think? Because the things that are being like funneled and pushed and trying to shape what you think is so strong.
The pressure.
It's so strong. We're getting it from all sides of things and greater organizations or entities of business or whatever, technology that are greater than just an individual person, like intentionally shaping what it is you think. Yeah. And it's so powerful and so subtle that a lot of people don't even realize what's happening. But you know what? It's actually not that subtle, because I think it's also blaring obvious now. Yeah. To a lot of people.
It's gotten that point, yeah.
You know, it's like, it's pretty undeniable, you know? So I honestly, I just have faith, dude, that like the people are going to like people, and people being able to have love for each other is going to allow things to work itself out. Because I think like on a human basis, like people are much like on a human to human basis, you're just walking down the street and you see someone and that person could have like completely different views from you. But if it's just two ships passing in the night, like I think people are more inclined to treat each other with respect and not get carried away and all this divisive.
Yeah, but then people get on the internet and they act way different.
It's real
the
life,
keyboard warriors.
It's real life versus the internet.
Yeah,
I mean that pretty much sums everything up that we're talking about. Like real life versus the internet. Can you separate real life from the internet, or can you not? There's a lot of people that aren't separating real life from the internet. But the internet is not real life, and it never will be. You know what I'm saying? And real life trumps the internet every time. Yeah. What is that? The internet's not real. Yeah. Real life, walking outside, having the sun shine on your face a little bit, feeling the breeze. That's real life, and that's better than the internet every time. I choose that every time. Yeah.
I wonder if the internet will ever adopt more of real, or if it just can't, just because of the way that the sort of algorithms and companies that are invested in it are just never going to allow. Or if they see that they've gotten to, I wonder if they get to a point where they're so like, do they ever get to the point where they're like, we've taken this kind of far?
I think it's getting to the point where they're not being able to profit as much because people are letting like it be known that they're taking it too far. Yeah. So once they start to lose money, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like all these, like if all these things just that we put out like just failed miserably and didn't
like
make
the movies and shit
and didn't make us any money. You know what I mean? Because people are sick of this shit. Like maybe that can change it, because I mean I think ultimately like it's all about money.
Yeah, in those situations, because it's all about the shareholders and how much profit they have, or the ownership and the money in, money out type.
But I think dude, it's kind of crazy. Like, haven't you noticed? Like, it's kind of crazy, right? Because what I've been noticing, and you tell me if you agree, but it's almost like society has gotten like so like obscene that it's almost like creating a revival of like people becoming more like moral, or like valuing things like the simple things more.
In relationship to like God and Jesus, and
or just like kind of like people are starting to like Yeah, I mean, like with God and religion, but like just kind of like rejecting all that. You know, it's kind of like it's like naturally kind of just like a natural like checks and balances system. You know, it's like things go so extreme one way, and then it kind of creates things to mellow out, and you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, the spectrum shifting back and forth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I get a lot of that. I'll read like Twitter comments, whether it's on like a super right page or a super left. It's like everyone all together. Like if I would like put all the comments together and like read them all, right now everyone's just like kind of tired of everything.
yeah,
Like whether it's believing this or believing that, everyone's like, dude, everyone is kind of like collectively feeling like what is going on. Like,
yeah,
and
like
I don't think that will sustain. I think something will kind of give. And I think I do believe, like you said already, I think things are already kind of giving in certain directions that they need to.
yeah.
So there is good in it.
And also like I want to say like I myself have like enjoyed like the obscene, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, so I'm not trying to put myself on like a high horse, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not like I'm not like I'm not on any sort of high horse. But even with myself, like at this time in my life, like, because you know I enjoy being ignorant too. You know what I'm saying? And I have enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun being ignorant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I've embraced it, and you know, I've, you know, like thrived in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even so, I'm not like putting myself out there as like I'm like that, like I'm like on any sort of high horse, or like if you indulge in that, like you're like inferior. I'm just saying that even with me at this self in my life, and maybe it's just me getting older, but like I got to the point where, and I think I'm just kind of getting there now, of it's like, okay, well, like what else is there? And is this really like the mark I want to leave on the world? And is this really like who I want to be?
So
Yeah,
based on what you're saying, this is like the whole, in relationship to the whole human experience.
yeah,
None of this at all, everything that we just spoke about, is surprising at all to me, because everyone's timeline is so uniquely different.
yeah,
Everyone experiences things at a different rate. They come to realizations at things at a different rate. Their willingness to learn is a different rate. That's why we're here, truthfully. And it's not like I talk about all this in a way where it's like, man, it's up, but truthfully, it's like it is also just human.
yeah,
Because the guy who is in control of the company with all the money, like there's parts of me that goes, I also don't blame that guy for wanting to protect or control or to continue what he has. Because I could understand how that feels as well on a different scale for myself. So I don't like go, you're a villain, you're a bad person. I think there's certain things it's like, yo, there should be some more give. There should be a little bit more healthy discourse for a lot of things. But in relationship to humans, it's like, that's like, it'd be like telling like a 15-year-old kid like all these things, and like you tell him all this stuff and he's gonna be like, yeah, I just want to go ride my bike. Like, I don't know what the you're talking about, but like, this is what I know.
Yeah.
Or a 20-year-old who maybe they're in the same sort of mindset because of their circumstances, their conditions, like who they are, how they were raised, and they just don't know any differently. So it's like we're all at a different pace of learning and understanding, and that's also why we're here. So it's like it's good and bad at the same time, which is just life, the whole yin and yang idea. And it's like this is what it is. So I don't talk about this to say like, man, the world's so terrible, but it's just important to talk so that people can kind of like maybe see something from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Whether or not they want to like go and look at it or try to understand it better, it's completely on their own timeline. And whenever they say or they feel or they're really able to actually understand is on them. Yeah. So that's why all this, we could talk for days about it, but it's like, I can't tell the 22-year-old, look, this is so important. This is the most important thing. When I was 22, if I knew this, my life, but it's still his choice to fuck up a ton of times before he goes, okay, what that guy said was actually right.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
Cause I was the same human. Like you said, like I've indulged in like I've been a part of like I can never remove myself from like, I'm not I'm not Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when we go wrap it all up, like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to sort of like, I guess in these situations and conversations is to open up whoever's listening to think like a little bit more than just like what I know and what I'm told and what I know at this moment, and like look left and look right and try to understand this could make some sense. That could make some sense. You know, how can we make this the best thing possible?
Right. And that's,
So.
you just hit it. That's,
But then we go back to the conversation about censoring and like freedom of speech. Like we need that to be able to do that.
exactly.
And so it's like that there is a problem, an overlying problem there, which is like we got to kind of we need to get rid of that. Otherwise, like you're just creating people to just be robots in one direction.
It's like what you just said. It's like to be able to look left, look right. Okay, this makes sense. That makes sense. But to me, it feels like it's like no, you're not now. You're only allowed to look one way.
Yeah, that is a problem,
And that's it. That's the problem.
yeah.
That's the problem.
So how do we fix it?
I don't.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know yet. I think just talking about it.
Just talking about it. Yeah.
I think it's all we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all we can do, man. So what about you in your life? What are you super passionate about now? And like, had you ever thought about being like an actor? Like, cause obviously your dad, you know, I always curious. Cause like clearly you got the in if you needed it.
This cracks me up because
Cause obviously he could probably talk to some people, you know,
it's so funny, dude. Because
it's Forrest Gump, dude.
It's like people are like, "Are you like? Why don't you be an actor?" It's like I am. I mean, like I just filmed like a show for Netflix, and it's coming out.
That's sick.
It'll come out like probably in like January. You know what I'm saying? The thing about being an actor is like you have to wait to get a role. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to go. You have to audition. You have to maybe you.
You know what you would have crushed it in? Sons of Anarchy.
I wish I was in
Bro,
that show.
that would have been the dopest.
I wish that I was.
That
in
was like
show,
one of the
but,
best TV series.
I know.
Oh,
Because I really ride. Like I could
yeah.
doing wheelies and like they wouldn't have to use a stunt double. You know, it would have been so sick.
No, I know
hope
we've
they
written.
put me
That's
in
why
a
I'm like,
reboot. I know.
damn.
Like, I love that show, but it's like I every role I've ever got, like I auditioned like just like anybody else, like going like with like hundreds of other people. Like my dad can't just call someone up and say, "Put my son in this movie." Like it doesn't work like that. He can't do that. He could maybe, but like it would be like
It'd be, you know what I relate it to? It's probably like a bodybuilding show where like you could win a show, but you have to be good enough to win the show. Like, because I've been invited to like things where like the guy's like, "You're gonna win this show," and I was like, "Okay, it's corny that you're telling me that." And I showed up and I won the show, but I was in shape.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I showed up and I was fat and I won the show.
yeah.
Like you have to be able to actually do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, it's not gonna work for us, regardless."
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's like if you've been working out for like a couple of years and like you look pretty good, like you can't just have like your dad call me, "Hey, like put my son in like the top lineup for Mr. Olympia." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can, but if you continue and you actually fucking, well, like, I want to do this, I want to win Mr. Olympia, and you get to the point where you're big enough to be on that stage, then you can do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like everything I've ever had acting wise, I earned on my own, and like the biggest just finished doing it.
What is it? What's the name of it? Can you say any of that stuff?
It's called Running Point.
Running Point.
Yeah.
Are there any other big actors in it?
Yeah. Kate Hudson, she's the lead, and I have a big role in it.
That's dope, man.
So yeah, like the acting thing has always been going.
What
like,
kind of role is it?
It's a comedy.
You're in a comedy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Pretty off brand from this podcast.
Yeah, fuck it.
But yeah, it's, believe it or not, I'm actually pretty funny.
It's funny because it's like, yeah, no, not at all what we talked about. No jokes.
Yeah.
Real life. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. That's dope, man. I've always been like, man, I would love to do stuff like that, but I just don't even put the time or effort or energy to it at all. I think I could play some bodyguard roles.
Well, you got your own thing going, my boy.
Yeah.
Like you're running an empire over here, so
Yeah, a little different.
what you gonna go do is like waiting around on a set 6 a.m. Like I think you're good, bro.
Yeah. You do anything? Are you working on anything else besides that?
I just finished that, so No, I was filming that for the past like 3 months.
What about music? I know
months.
you've done some music stuff in the past.
Yep, I'm getting ready to drop some music.
What kind?
To drop some music. It's gonna be surprising.
Surprising. Left field?
I don't think people are gonna see it coming.
Interesting.
It's gonna be very different from any music that I've put out before.
Okay. Different genres?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
I just want to save the surprise.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Fair.
But that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you work on?
Like career wise,
Yeah.
or just like hobbies and stuff.
Career wise?
No, acting and music is pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
Acting and music. I mean, it takes long enough to get good at one thing. You know what I mean? There's other things I have ideas I could do, and maybe I will. But right now, the acting and the music is what I'm focused on.
What about hobbies?
Hobbies. I mean, I love riding bikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I collect stamps.
We got to ride again.
I make little models of ships and like the glass bottles. Where
Hey, wait.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're with me.
I'm
No.
with you. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I don't really have any hobbies, or maybe I just don't have any healthy hobbies.
Yeah. I think you're in the gym.
Yeah. Is that a hobby?
Yeah. I mean, for some people, it's a complete lifestyle, but
Yeah.
I'd say for most people, it's probably like a hobby.
Yeah, I think it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think it's a lifestyle.
Has the gym taught you anything that you think super valuable?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, because like I've been like, I started lifting like weights. Like I started like going to the gym when I was like, like 16 or some.
Yeah.
But like I never like I never really like knew what the I was doing, because like like going to the gym doesn't matter like if you don't like know like your diet.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know like what you need to be eating like to complement your workouts, the workouts aren't really doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, unless like you were just trying to just get strong.
Yeah.
Obviously at that point though too, you have to be eating enough.
Yeah, eating enough and eating enough protein and stuff, But like, so I would like go to the gym like sometimes, or like I'd like go to like get motivated for like a little while and then fall off for a long time. But then eventually I just got to the point where it's like no matter what's going on, like I'm gonna like be in the gym like 5 days a week, like no matter what. And if I can't be in a gym, like I'm just gonna bust out like another like workout, like no matter how I'm feeling, you know what I mean? Like no matter if I want to or not, like I'm just gonna do it. You know what I mean?
You have to.
So I guess that's something, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what even to call that, like discipline or whatever, but maybe. I mean, but it's like you can also like be ripped and like have the discipline to like have like a like great physique and like have no discipline in like every other aspect of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like
like the singular focus of just that.
Yeah.
My life was a lot like that for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, where it was only mattered like I was making content, but like that was always secondary. It was always like, and it's still in my life. The gym is still number one, where it's like I have to complete that every day, and it's kind of faltered. I would say like it's changed a little bit, not faltered, but it's changed a little bit as I've gotten older and more busy. But like it's always the sort of center focal point of my day now. But I remember from probably like 22 to like 28, it was like nothing else mattered, including like relationships and everything that I was dealing with then. It was like, it was here and it was cool. And like, I've been in love, but it's like, it was like I would pass up anything else for that. And it affected a lot of my relationships and interpersonal relationships too, because it was so focused on just one thing that like these whole other like buckets of things in my life was just like, that this is the only thing that matters. And it's aided me a lot, but it's also hurt me a lot. Because then as I got older, like I told you about the timeline thing and understanding, I had to learn things that I could have spent some time in my earlier 20s kind of learning better. And I kind of had to learn them a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, but that's just my time. My timeline, it was just had to be that way.
Yeah. But I definitely think that like life is much better like when you're swole.
Yeah. No, bro. I have to believe that.
I mean,
have
it's
to believe
true. It's true. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, cause if like, even if everything sucks, you're like, at least I'm still like pretty swole.
Yeah.
And that does give you like a leg up on a lot of,
It
because
does.
you know why? You know why? Because it's like, you could like, everything could be, and you could have like zero opportunities happening in your life. But if like you're swole, when that opportunity pops up, like you're gonna like be able to like rise, like seize it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you think it's a mentality it took to get swole?
No, it's because yes, 100%. And because it's like when you walk in the room, when there's an opportunity in a room and you walk in the room, you could be broke and have nothing going on. But if you're swole, like you're bringing something into that room.
Bro, I can't tell you how many situations I've been in where before I had anything, no one knew who the I was. I'd walk in somewhere and people, like I remember when I first started getting in like the scene of before social media. For me, social media is like everything, but I kind of started like creeping into the scene of like Hollywood, musicians, like as I was a trainer. And I was like now in these like sort of like settings where like these people are around or parties. Every single time someone would be like, yo, how much you bet? Like someone that I probably want to talk to would be like interested in talking to me just because they're like, why do you look like that?
Yeah. And that could be a dude who is like a powerful, who's rich as, who has like way more than you could ever dream of, but he looks up to you.
Because you don't have that.
Because he looks up, so that's power, bro. Because I'm saying it's opportunities and it's relationships. So you just like, because it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that gives you the power to be able to be more so the master of your own fate, to be able to like nurture your relationships and move forward and progress. Because somebody could be a billionaire and have everything you want, but you just being swole, that guy's like wants to be your friend. Like, yo,
I've had a lot of that.
Like you, man. Like,
I've had a lot of that.
Let's go get lunch. What you got going on? Let's go talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to do business with you, man. You know what I'm saying? And meanwhile, you're just a broke, swole dude. You know what I mean?
Was me, dude.
But it's like you have something. You have something going on because wherever you go, there you are. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you go, there we are. And whichever room you walk into, you're the room.
Damn, dude. Being swole is a cheat code.
It is a cheat code.
Everyone should try to get a little bit jacked. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, for real, you know? And it's not like, I don't buy into the whole of like, if you're not swole, you're a piece of shit and you're a, like, I don't buy into that, man.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not
but
that.
It's just like, if people actually built themselves up a little bit, like they would see that kind of goes a whole lot easier for you.
Yeah. Because it's I mean, in the world, it's a very, very small percent of people who are like, where you notice, you go, oh, that guy, clearly that guy, he does some I don't necessarily do probably.
Yeah. And it's not any standard. It's not like, oh, you got to, not everybody is going to be Bradley Martyn 260, just like stacked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like everybody can be like better than what they are.
For sure. 100%.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not about reaching a standard or like, you got to look like this person. It's just like, put the work in on yourself. Lift some heavy, like eat the right meals, treat your body right, drop all the drugs and it's like try that out and then see how your life goes before you try to up with some shortcut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some scheme. You know what I mean? To try to get ahead. Can you start with the simple?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
People are afraid of all that though. It's the hard work.
What do you think they're afraid of?
Hard work. Failure. I think most people are afraid of trying something and not getting what they think they're supposed to get sooner.
You think people are like, but it's like, why do people feel like they're going to fail if they just go to the gym and work out and like eat the correct like amount of what they need to eat? Like,
I think
why do people think they're going to fail at that? Because it's just like, it's a results. Like,
I think it's
the action,
twofold.
you get the results.
I think it's twofold. I think it's perception of like, what should happen for me based on what they see happening for other people. which is why I think like the whole steroid and taking steroids or being natty became this like really popular thing on the internet for so long, where it's like this conversation between steroids or natty, because there's that innate like, oh, this person has something that I don't have. He must be cheating. He must be doing this thing, right? Which I don't necessarily believe or agree that that's cheating whatsoever. I think it's also just like a whole nother step that if someone's willing to take, they're willing to take it. It's not for everyone, but people have that's why that concept got so popular, is because it's a way out for someone to like not put in the effort or work.
Yeah.
And it's the fear of like, well, why do they have something I
their way
don't
out.
have? It's a way out.
It's their way out.
And then the fear of failure in the sense of like, if I try this and it doesn't work as fast as I think it should, or like what I'm prescribed that it should, or someone told me that it would, or it you know, I have a buddy and it worked like this for him, and if it's not working the same way for me, it's like, fuck it. I think people at the same time are conditioned to, because of the internet, that this TikTok brain, like, yo, or I mean, even before TikTok, the Instagram, like, oh, everything right here at my fingertips, the Postmates, the idea of right now, I should have it. That same concept is bled into like the people's kind of sort of psyche of how I should have things. And it's like, that's not how any success is created. That's not how any like great physique has been created. That's not how anything great in this world has ever been created. It's always through complete failure, hard. And I think like people should go towards more of the hard. I just think in general, like people are kind of coddled and taught to be like, you know, if someone's doing something and they're cheating, it's like, it's an excuse. It's like people are they just want it to be easier because it's hard. But that's what life is.
Yeah.
Life is this. It's hard. And if it's hard, like whether
it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Even business and
It's not immediate.
Everything is like that.
Yeah.
Not just your body, like success, everything, like climbing up in a company or whatever it is. It's like, are you putting in the effort needed to have that? Are you just doing what you got to do to get by? And those people just go in circles in their life.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like the fear of like, if I give it all my all and I still don't get it, I'm not good enough. And the idea of not being good enough, like I can directly relate to, because like that was a thing that in relationship to losing my father, like feeling like I wasn't good enough to have a father made me want, like it did the opposite for me. It made me want to prove that I was good enough for something. And for me, very young age, it started at the gym, and I was like, I'm going to prove that I could be great at this. I remember telling my mom, like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And she's like, yeah, okay. Well, you know, me and your dad used to work out too. I was like, no, this is going to be my life. Like this was 35 now. So this was 100 years ago. This is before the internet was a thing, before social media existed. I just believed that this was going to make me special somehow. And I had no idea how, but I wanted something in the gym, felt tangible, that like, oh, this is the first thing in my life that I felt like I can build something from. Cause it was as simple as benching 95 to 135 and being like, oh, I'm doing something.
Yeah. Something's happening here.
Yeah. Even from that jump, from benching again, 225, 95 pounds to 135 to 135 and at 25 and feeling like, oh, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And then I started to see a physical result, and I'm like, and it took time. It wasn't like it was just like that. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing this because I have this even just self-fulfillment of like growth somehow.
Yeah. Progress is being made.
And then that concept, as I got older, I recognized pretty soon in anything that I did, that concept existed.
Yep. Exactly.
But it's the hard work that people are afraid of. And there's been times when I've been like, this is tough. This is so hard. Can I be good at this? I suck at this, like something new. But the same concept existed as soon as I put the effort in. Next thing you know, 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months, a year, I was like, oh, this is way easier than I first perceived it.
Yep.
Then it goes back to the thing we talked about earlier, perception about where you're at. So it's just like people just need to be comfortable going towards it's hard and difficult and try. That's it. And just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And that's what life is, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how much we like wig ourselves out about things before like we even attempt them.
Yeah.
It's like that's a crazy concept to think like, oh, like I'm afraid that if I go to the gym and work out, like I'm not gonna like get in better shape.
So
like
I won't do it.
That's like crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's like saying like, oh, I'm afraid that like if I jump in this pool, like I'm not gonna get wet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all you got to do is do it, but you got to eat right. That's the thing. Because I never really made a lot of progress, like until I actually looked at like what do I actually need to be eating?
Yeah.
Like you can't just eat whatever you feel like, and then expect to get the results. Like,
Yeah. Everyone's body type's obviously
then you
so
just keep
different.
going in circles. You don't really make any progress, you know?
Yeah. Well, bro, we got to get in the gym one of these days. You've been to the gym with me a few times.
Yeah.
But we should train more.
That'd be dope.
It should be good, dude. Is there anything else you want to talk about? This was dope.
Yeah, it was.
It was good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, yeah. You should do a podcast or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Think about it. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Because you're good.
idea.
You're
idea.
like a lot better at speaking than I thought you would be.
Thanks, man.
Like not in any sort of disrespectful manner, but actually.
Thank you, brother.
But yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
And yeah, dude, we got to get to the gym. Also, I'm hungry as
Me too.
we need to go eat.
I'm starving.
Got to get the protein in.
Yeah. I'm running behind.
Anything else you want to tell them? Like anything you work on or find you or whatever?
Just stay prayed up.
Stay prayed up.
Stay prayed up and tell the ones that you love them.
Yeah. I'm working on that myself a lot too. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Why don't you just tell them you love them?
I do.
Just call them up right now and be like,
Yeah.
hey, I love you.
I will. As soon as I get off this pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's funny how we talk about and that's a perfect example. I'm so good at certain things in my life, but it's because I was able to just find maybe a little bit of like enjoyment in the difficulty, and then the enjoyment in the other parts. It's like afraid, and I think the fear comes from like losing, because I don't know. I think it's something deep inside me because of the loss, that fear of getting closer. I'm going to lose eventually. I'm going to lose the person. I'm going to lose the thing, whether it's a relationship or a family member, like almost like the fear of why be closer if it's for sure going to be gone. But then that's like, it goes against everything I'm saying at the same time, which is so weird in my brain, which is why I could understand why people get caught up in those moments. It's like, that's getting the exact opposite though, because I'm not guaranteed forever. No one's guaranteed forever. And it's like, it's weird.
Well, dude, like also like I know from like my own experience, like, and I think you can relate to this, like it's when you like with you have like having like so much like going on, like you have like this like huge platform that you've built, and you've created this like space, which is like dope for like people who like want to do the same thing that you do.
Yeah.
Which you're at like top level at, to like come and like have a community and be able to do the same thing and like shoot content and like shoot their own content and also like be a part of your content, which is like giving them like their start.
Yeah.
I would imagine like it would be like so hard to trust people.
Oh man.
Because like there's so many people that like they don't really give a about you. Like they're just, and they don't even really care to know you. Like, you know, they're literally just like, hey, like be in my video. You know what I'm saying? And that's like not,
Or give me the tools. Yeah.
yeah. And that's like no basis for like any type of like relationship, like just a human relationship. And I would imagine that would be really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, because I've experienced it, and I not with like just from people, just from like just from people having proximity to like fame, or like this idea of like what they think fame is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that is something, because it's like sometimes you feel like, man, it's like I like I'm walking through a den of snakes.
Yeah.
Like I cannot tell who the is like genuine or who the is really just looking for a come up at my expense.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it kind of compounds with other sort of life lessons that I'm like learning or going through. And then it affects other relationships that are even outside of business. And it's a mess, man. Something I work on pretty actively though. So
How do you deal with that?
I've gotten to a point where I'll set up whatever sort of precautions I can. And if I can, I do. And then outside of that, it's just like, if I'm willing to just do it, then I'll do it, and expect nothing, and expect not in a pessimistic way that they're gonna f over because they could, but understanding that if they do, then I'm okay. And it's that, like, I can't, you know, there's no get back. You can't like take it back. It's just like, if I'm going to do it, I've just gotten to the point where I'll do it because I want to, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or I just won't.
Do you have any like besides like the gym, like any like simple thing that like you do that like recenters you? Like I saw that clip of Lefty Gunplay.
Yeah.
Where he was like, twice a week I just go out to the beach at nighttime and I put my feet in the sand, and I don't
Anything like that?
and I don't bring my phone. You got anything like that?
Lately,
that was dope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, lately I've been doing a lot of boxing, which is nice, but it's just another form of activity. As far as like just straight meditation, like, I mean, I'll hit my sauna. I honestly, it sounds super corny, but I will honestly just like sit in my room sometime and just like turn everything off, like sit on the floor or lay on the floor and just go through like whatever thoughts I have in my mind and just like let them pass, which is just a form of meditation.
Yeah.
I seem to have a problem with like needing to be doing something all the time. Cause like I'll notice I'll turn meditation into like recovery. Like I'll sit with my red light and like my EMF mat and do the same things, but I turn it into like, okay, I'm doing the red light, I'm doing the EMF mat. And then it's like, I'll do the stim machine. But then the next thing I know, I'm just doing a bunch that's still just active. Yeah. And a part of my, I think, issue has always been just like not avoiding like the thing or the thoughts, but like being able to do a bunch of stuff. So like the thoughts are like here instead of like right here in front of me. And so as I've gotten older, I've tried to spend a lot more time, like just whether I'm sitting outside, like just literally right outside this podcast room, or if I go somewhere like the beach, for example, and I just sit and I don't do anything and I just kind of let the thoughts go and pass, come and go, come and go. That's when I do get like the most peace.
Yeah.
Because I'm the kind of person that will try to like I said, fill that space up with like, oh, I'm doing all this other stuff that's productive and good, but it's also still somewhat of a distraction of like being just okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's just like, I just tried to bring that up because I think that's like so important, especially for like younger kids, like watching this, you know, in like their 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because that's like so key. Like, and everybody, like, whatever it is, like, there's no right one thing to do. Like, whatever, like, you gravitate towards that you find, like, that gives you that, like, space.
Yeah.
Like, is like, that needs to be coupled with like everything that we're talking about, like going to the gym and like working hard and becoming more successful and like getting bigger. It's like, if you're only focusing on the exterior, like, then you're actually not like gonna progress.
Yeah, you'll grow to a point where you'll notice that you falter and you stop or you slow down or you get like, I don't want to do this anymore. I also want to say one thing on that note that I think a lot of people tend to confuse that idea of like looking inward. Like I said, like I would distract myself with other things and call it like, oh, I'm doing that, but I was just doing other things that would kind of distract myself. Like marijuana is a good example. Like I used to smoke weed, but like sometimes I would smoke and say, oh, this is me like meditating, but it has to be true, like completely sober. Where are you at with your own thoughts? Nothing added.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'm a huge proponent of like mushrooms and microdosing and all this kind of stuff, but there is something to where can you be without anything, without any influence, without any like fluctuation or adding this or adding that. Where are you really?
Yeah.
And I've been spending time doing that with myself and just honestly focusing on like in the thoughts and the breath. And that does help, man.
Hell yeah.
And it creates space, honestly, for me to be like, okay, like I'm ready to either undertake like a new project or I'm ready to really put my full effort towards this. And I have to kind of keep that inventory of myself. Like, okay, am I doing enough of that sort of singular nothing?
It's reflection.
Yeah. But man, I like, cause we're taught this age is also like, go, grind, which is necessary. Absolutely. But there's definitely a loss of, okay, like, what about, and I remember I had Myron and Sneeko on and I was talking to them about it. It was like, are you really happy? And I was relating it to the same sort of concept of like slowing down and just saying like, not stopping what I'm doing, but stopping within a day for 20 minutes and going like, where am I really at?
Yeah.
How do I really feel?
Yeah.
Not just in relationship to what I have or what I'm going to have or what I want to have or what someone else has, but like, how do I really feel about myself? And doing that has really changed my life.
That's awesome, man.
So that's a good question.
Yeah.
Good question.
I know it's just you got a lot going on, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But we got to get some protein.
Let's go.
I love you, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Dog.
You're dope.
Health.
Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Yes, sir.